So welcome everyone to this tutorial. In this tutorial, I'll basically I'll give you a little introduction actually about the MediaWiki engine, and I'll talk about my experience customizing the generic editor of MediaWiki engine. So let's just get started. As you know that I have worked on a project with Dr. Amran to customize the generic MediaWiki engine. We've created a wiki that we have called the Assessment Wiki. It's basically a customized version of the well-known Wikipedia. But our wiki was different because it was created to crowdsource questions from teachers in the question and test interoperability XML-based format. I'll show you how the wiki looks after the customization. So this is the main page of the assessmentwiki.org. This is the main page. We have opened it for public access after the project was done. Let me log in. I'm the administrator. I think the name and password are stored. Thank God, because I really don't remember the password. Let's just log in. So now I'm logged in. As you can see here, my name is CVP, and this is, my username, so my name. And this is the main page, which basically, so far it looks like the regular Wikipedia. I'm assuming everybody in this class have used Wikipedia at least one time in their life. So if I want to go ahead and click edit, I can just see the generic MediaWiki editor, which is just a text area box over here with the bulletin format toolbox or toolbar. And yeah, that's if you go to a Wikipedia page, Wikipedia, like any page. Search for what, UAE. Okay, and let's say that we want to edit. Wikipedia is open for public, so you can actually edit pages anonymously without having to log in or create an account. So let's just click the edit button over here and see. It's exactly the same, maybe just a different layout. Maybe you're using the latest. I believe you're using the latest, and mine is old. It's version 1.18 or 19. I think 1.18. So it's exactly the same, just a toolbar with, actually this toolbar has extensions. You can install them. And this is the text area box with all the text in it. So it's exactly the same concept, but what's different is a new editor for the questions. If I go here to dynamic tree, shows the curriculum, the math curriculum for grade 6 from the Pakistani curriculum, and these are the learning outcomes. And let's just check any of the questions. For example, in geometry question 1, if you click it, now it looks like a normal page so far, but if you want to edit it, you will have something else. Voila. See? So this is the new customized editor. It basically creates questions of 5 types. It's either multiple choice question, multiple response question, and the rest. Each time you click a button, the form will change accordingly. I will show you in a minute. We've also added the category to, which in our case the category is learning outcome. Anyways, so this is the customized engine that I've worked on. I'll just show you. Oh wait, before let's go back to editing. Like you can actually edit the question. Not only that, you can download it in the XML format as well. This is one of the functions that we have to code. I had to code. Okay, so let's just try to add a question. I want to add a question to which category? Let's say that to composite numbers. We just want to add a question. So the form displays the default type is multiple choice question. Maybe I want multiple response question of different form. Maybe I need an extended matching item question. So again, the form changes. And maybe we want to add more options or remove options. Or maybe I want my question to be a text instead question. Or maybe I want it to be a question matrix item. So I want to add more questions. Or maybe I want to remove some. So that's in a nutshell the um, media wiki engine after customization. Let's go back to the presentation. So MediaWiki Engine is just a piece of software that is used to run a crowdsourcing application called a wiki. It's a web-based application, as you already know. There are several wiki engines out there, but the most famous is the MediaWiki engine because it was used to run the most successful crowdsourcing project, which is Wikipedia. MediaWiki code was written in PHP language, and it was used for this platform was used for high-profile websites like like Wikipedia, and therefore they had to make or enforce very strict security rules, which made them change some of the concepts that we're used to in PHP. For example, like if you know PHP, you know that we have dynamic global arrays known as the post and get, which usually of the variables that are posted in a form, or they're using the post function or the get function. But in MediaWiki, they make sure to synthesize the code written or the values submitted in forms by the user to make sure that no bad code can be used by hackers to exploit the wiki. So they don't use the post and get global variables. You will notice that there is a class that's called web request class, and there is a global array that's called web request. It basically functions the same as the post and the get array. It actually combines both of them into one secure array. I'm not going to get into the details, but if you're interested, you can check the code for that class. As for the configuration, MediaWiki can be easily configured, and it uses global PHP variables to configure it, to have easier configuration or to customize the configuration. The default values are in a class that's called or a file that's called default settings.php. The system administrator can override the contents or the rules or the configurations in this file using the local settings.php file. And if you remember from the tutorial that I've posted for installing the MediaWiki engine, at the end of the installation phase, you get a file that gets downloaded called local settings. You can, as an administrator, you can always access this file and edit the entries to customize the look and the feel of your wiki, or to customize the language that's used in your wiki, or to customize or to add extensions, or to add user groups, or to add privileges to the user groups, or take away privileges. You can do all that through the local settings with PHP. As for the database and storage, MediaWiki engine was made to be versatile. It actually can deal with several relational database management systems. I like the PostgreSQL, Oracle, and SQLite. But the default database management system for MediaWiki engine is MySQL. And you can see the database layout if you access this link. That's very helpful. It will help you a lot if like to navigate, to know the tables, their structure, the fields, the keys, the relations between the tables. It's very helpful. And some of the important tables are the tables that holds the content of the wiki, like the page, for example, the page table, which has all the pages on articles on the wiki are stored there. There's the revision, which maintains the revisions for the multiple revisions for each page. And there is a category table, which is basically if you want to group your pages under one generalized category, you will find it in the category. The entries will be stored, in the category table. You will have the category and all the pages that are stored under this category and some other files or other tables. Another tables also that you will find useful is the user table, and there's the user groups table, which shows the groups, different groups that you have. As for the structure of the MediaWiki, whenever you read about wikis, you will always hear that a wiki is a set of interlinked web pages, which is true. It's just a set of pages, but pages are different. There is the article page, which is the pages that you find with articles about whatever topic. And there's the special pages that usually perform special functionalities. Like, for example, there is a page called Recent Changes. It shows you as an administrator all the changes, the recent changes that were made during a certain period by the users on the wiki, like deletion, add, creation of, and etc. And it also shows you the category pages. There's another special type of a page that's called a category page. So you have the regular page, or what's known as the article page, there's the category, and there's the special page. As for the customization, MediaWiki engine, or the architecture of this engine, provides different ways to be customized. It's pretty flexible. You can customize it using extensions, JavaScript, or Cascade style sheets. I'm assuming everybody is familiar with JavaScript and Cascade style sheets, but extensions must be new to most of you here. Extensions are just PHP code that is written to add an extra functionality to the MediaWiki engine. So it basically extends the functionality of the MediaWiki engine. However, for these extensions to be made, you need to make sure that there is a corresponding hook in the existing MediaWiki engine source code. And by a hook, I mean it's a place in the code where like it executes when a certain event take place. So you can think about it if you know databases terms. You can think about it as a trigger. Like at a certain point, it triggers and go checks if there is a corresponding extension to this trigger, which is something that you define in your extension. Like if this hook runs, please run this extension. So in my case, when I had to customize the MediaWiki engine for my use, I couldn't find any suitable hooks for me, so I couldn't extend the media or customize the MediaWiki generic editor using an extension because I couldn't find hooks that are suitable for me or that runs at a special time where I need the extension to be executed. So I had to change the original source code of the MediaWiki engine. The main changes, I've changed several classes, but the main changes were done to the edit class, because in that class, the edit form and the generic editor is written and appears once that file or that class is run. I've also used extensions though. I've used some extensions written by other developers for tracking the versions on approving edits. I've created some new special classes as well. One for downloading the bulk download to download all the questions under a certain category in XML-based format in a zip file, and another one for creating exams in according to certain criteria in a PDF format. These are the classes that I had to modify. They might not look like they're much, but believe me, I really had a horrible experience. It was really, really tough, like understanding the code itself and how it runs. It was really, really tough, especially. And I cannot emphasize this enough. You have to make sure that the debugger runs on your machine, because it will be very helpful for you to understand how the MediaWiki code runs and how it works. Mine wasn't working, to be honest. Like maybe Dr. Amran didn't even know this, but I got mine to work last night just to record the tutorial for you guys. It's not that I was lazy, but I was facing lots of problems, and most of these things were new to me, and I couldn't get it to run. I've tried zillions of times, and I don't know why yesterday it decided that, even though I'm sure I followed the same steps. But anyways, maybe I was doing something wrong, and at that time I was panicking that I didn't have enough time, and maybe that contributed to. So I can't emphasize this enough. Make sure that your debugger works, okay? So these are actually I've included a link in the last slide for the detailed um, technical documentation that I've wrote about the changes that I've made to the wiki. This part is taken from that folder, from that file, sorry, or that document. It shows all the function that I had to edit in the edit page class. Some of them are completely new that I had to write from scratch. Some of them are existing functions that I had to modify, and some of them were taken from the QTI editor that I used to um, incorporate or that I incorporated in the generic editor of the MediaWiki. Um, but even though that editor was written in PHP, I still had to do some modification to the code to have it be compatible with the engine code. So these are the functions. I'll talk about what I think are the most important functions that you will also need to pay attention to, or that you need to modify to meet the purpose of your project. I'm not sure I actually have a full idea or a clear idea about that, but I'm sure that from what Dr. Ahmad told me, that you need to modify the generic editor. So I'm sure, I'm 100% sure that whatever I'm going to say here is maybe it doesn't 100% apply to your case, but it will help you. Like it will tell you where to go and what to do. At least it will tell you what these function how do and functions do, and therefore you know where to go and where to start from. For me, I had no one to tell me anything. I had to go through all this alone. So pay attention. So the first function is the edit function. This function gets called when the action is, which is an action variable. I'm not going to go into details. Once you have to go and look at the code once and twice to get what I'm talking about here, but try to grasp as much as you can. So this function gets called when the variable called action assigned a value of edit, or the action is activated. So whenever you're trying to edit a page, this is the first function to be executed. So what it actually does, it just sets up certain variables and then passes the execution according to certain conditions to other functions, but mostly, or most of the times, it passes the execution to a function called showEditForm, which displays the form, which has the generic editor. What you need to know about this edit form is that it's self-submitting form. So like it can submit itself several times, and each time just updates a certain variable which would execute a certain um, um, if condition in the code. Anyway, so this function was modified to check for a hidden variable that I had to add using another function that I will talk about later. Okay, this hidden variable that I had to add to the form to capture the type of the question that is being created or edited. And according to this value, I set up the value of another global variable in this class that I had to add as well, which I called QTI type. Again, it just holds the type of the question being edited or created, and then it passes the execution to the show edit form. So first, you have an edit function that calls the show edit form. So you have to understand the flow, okay? Because this will help you in customizing your code the way you want. Then this function also, I've modified it to check. I told you that it actually checks or that it sets certain variables. So one of the variables that it sets is a new variable that I have introduced, which I call the WP XML download. Well, as I told you, I'm trying to follow the same convention that the MediaWiki engine uses for the variables and um, for the methods, which is starting with a WP or WG. So it just checks if this was posted, and if it is, it will change the form type to a download, and then this would pass on the execution to another function that I have wrote, which is called download item, and will download the item just like you saw in earlier. Another function, no, the second function that I'll be talking about is the show edit form. The show edit form it will display the edit form for the user to start editing. The code for this form was modified again um, um, to add the item PP hidden variable in the form, because that's the item or that's the variable that the previous function was looking for, or that's checking its value. It's actually getting set in this function, because this is the function where the actual form gets displayed to the user. So this function also was modified to display the edit toolbar based on the page type. So the edit form, the show edit form function, this calls another function to display the toolbar. In my case, didn't completely take away the generic editor. I had to maintain it because not all the pages on the wiki are questions with XML content. No, some of them are like the main page or the category page or a special page. They need the regular editor, so I had to maintain that editor. And so this function here, it checks, I've added a piece of code that checks what's the type of the page, and accordingly will decide which toolbar to display. It displays the toolbar by calling a function that's called getEditToolbar, which I had to create a replica of it and modify it. So now I have two functions. One of them displays the regular toolbar, and the other one displays the new toolbar, which shows the question types and um, um, uh, again, also part of this show edit form checks for the global variable QTI type and to decide on the type of the question, and accordingly will pass the execution to another function that's called show_QTI form. In other words, now here from this point forward, I start to show the edit form, but I don't show it all in one function. No, I show it on different functions, and that was not my choice. Actually, I just followed the same flow of the engine. That's how it works. So because I have several types of questions and each question has its own editing form, I had to call another function that calls the show_QTI form. This function just displays the common part of the form for all the different types of questions, and then according to the question type, it will pass on the execution to show the form for that particular item. So basically, if you think about it, it's just like a link. As you go further, each function is just building up on um, form, the form that was built up by the calling function. I hope that makes sense. Okay. As for the import form data, which is another function, this function, as the name suggests, it just imports the data that was entered by the user once you submit the form. So in the normal case, it just imports the text that was entered in the text area box and stores it in a variable that's called textbox1, so it can later on be saved in the database once the execution when the execution is passed to the save function. Uh, this function had to be modified. In my case now, the form is not one text area box. No, I have to collect the values of different variables in the form, and I don't have to store it as a text. I have to store it as a one. I have to build the XML object and store it as so. From that point on, after it collects the required variables, it just pass on the execution based on the question type to one of four functions, and those functions, no matter what the name is, they basically do the same thing. They just build the QTI XML file or object for that particular type of question, and then returns the value to, it returns the execution to this function, which will eventually store the XML representation of the question in the public variable textbox1. So textbox1, after the modification, doesn't hold a pure or clear text. It holds an XML representation of the question. Another form is the initialize form. Again, as the name suggests, this form actually initializes the values in the edit form once the user clicks the edit button. So if you're trying to edit a page and you click the edit button, you will notice that the form will change into a text box that has the text. So this text was initialized by this function. I had to modify it because now, again, when it reads the content from the database, it's XML, so it had to read the XML, extract the text, and then accordingly initialize the variables in the form. Another function, which is the show text box function, as you saw in my debugging tutorial, I hashed or I commented this calling this function, and the result was that when you have clicked the edit button, the text area box did not show. So basically, as the name suggests again, it just displays the large text area box for the user at the time of the editing. The text box is the original generic editor of the MediaWiki. In my case, the generic editor is not required for all the pages because the questions have their special editing forms. The function was modified to display the text area when the edit page is not a question. To be more specific, if it's a main page, a category page, or a special page. The get preview text function previews the text for the user before he saves it if he clicks the preview link. It was pretty straightforward when the generic MediaWiki editor was there because again the content of the field was clear text, but in my case it was XML, so I had to edit that function too to convert the XML to readable text and display it to the user. You can read more about the details in either the slides or the documentation document. Another function, which is the get edit toolbar, I've already spoke about this before, and I said that I had to modify it. And this toolbar, this particular function uses a lot of JavaScripts that also I had to modify. You can find the place of the JavaScripts and the changes that I had to make to these JavaScripts in the um, uh, technical documentation document, which I've included the link to it in the last slide. The show diff function is a function that basically compares two different edits of the same page. Okay, it performs text-based comparison because it assumes, or because as it was originally designed, the page is just a text. I also had to modify this function because the content of my edits is not a clear text anymore. It was XML, so I had to convert the XML to clear text and then perform the text-based comparison. That's about it. I have edited more functions and added more functions, but these are the most important ones that I thought I need to talk about. If as I told you, you can download the documentation from here. These are the links that you would need for your project, and this link for downloading the MediaWiki installation files. This one's for downloading the WAMP server. This one is for the queries that you need to create the database once you install the MediaWiki. This one over here is for the Eclipse. If you don't want to use Eclipse, use NetBeans. I find NetBeans much easier actually after I have tried it. I wish I have used it instead of Eclipse because I really had a tough time with Eclipse. I couldn't get the debugger to work with Eclipse, but it worked with NetBeans this morning, actually this afternoon. And you can download the Xdebug from here, and on the NetBeans website they also included very clear steps on how to make the debugger work. It's actually what I've used to make my debugger work. Okay, I'm losing my voice. And here you can download the source code of my Wikipedia. Of course, you cannot just go ahead and install it. Like, you cannot just download the file and zip it and include it to the root folder and it would work. No, you have to install a fresh copy of MediaWiki Engine and just copy the files that were changed and paste them, replace them with the files that are already existing in this fresh installation, and then run it. Okay, if you watch my tutorial on how to debug and create a project, you'll understand how to do that or how to modify it right away. And I'm really sorry again for not showing up to the presentation. I was really excited about this, but unfortunately, I had to stay late at work today. It's a pretty busy season now, and I hope my tutorials will be helpful for you. I've tried my best. I didn't even go out today just for you guys. I stayed home. Actually, I stayed home because my car broke. But anyways, um, I just would like to wish you good luck and have fun. Bye bye.